the issue that's taking place today. LA, right? We have these riots that are going on. Trump has gone in and nationalized the National Guard. He's utilizing them to go try to enforce the rules. We have Gavin Newsom, who is kind of fighting back against that. And one way to do it is to step into that environment and to pick a tribe, right? And to use this whole idea of cognitive dissonance that says, well, okay, this is my tribe. Pick whichever one you want. This is my tribe. And here's why I think we're right and the other side is wrong. I look at it and say, well, let's see. It's obvious to me a couple of things. The first one is that we had an election and the American public voted in somebody who said he's going to focus on immigration. Doesn't matter that I agree with it. The majority of the public voted him in. It's also clear to me he should have to follow the rule of law. Figuring out what that is somewhat complex because you don't really have it figured out until you get to the Supreme Court oftentimes. You're having to add this time into it. But nonetheless, on the street, you have Gavin Newsom who's taking a position saying we don't really need them. I don't, I spent time as a mayor, and my guess is, and watching it, they don't really need them nationalized. I think he's probably right. The reason that Trump did it, he wouldn't have done this if it were a Republican governor. He would have stayed back and waited. But as a Democratic governor, it was too easy of an opportunity to poke his finger in the eye and to own the libs, as he likes to say, right? The ability to be able to own them. Gavin's response, I don't know that it's going to be a great response because effectively you now have the you have both the police officers as well as the National Guard on opposite sides of the ledger. And that is a big risk for the people who are enforcing the law. Just having spent a lot of time with law enforcement, that is a big risk for them. So when I get done leaving it, I'm not quite sure that one side's any more right than the other. I think it's too bad that our leaders can't find a way to work together. But when I look at the situation, my answer is this is symbiotic of what's happening in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They both moved to their corners and they found an inability to talk to one another. And you could say, well, it's the other side's fault. Maybe, maybe it's the other side's fault. It doesn't matter. They can't talk to one another. They can't find common ground. We found an inability to be able to do that. And at least for me, when I look at this, my answer comes back to saying it doesn't represent where 80% of this country is. 80% of this country wants it to work. 80% of this country wants us to follow the rule of law, that like our law enforcement to work together. They want to enforce the border. They don't want a porous border, but they also want to be humane in the process.